Well, in San Diego, of course, the big story in San Diego is always the Navy. And there were not many women in journalism in those days, at least certainly not any working for wire services. And I remember this one story in San Diego. There's this family that had been out in a I guess it was a boat or a fishing boat or something. Anyway, it had wrecked. And they were all dead, except for one young man who apparently was floating around on a bunch of wreckage. So the Navy sent a submarine out to pick this kid up, and they brought him into the port there in San Diego. And so I ran out to this scene in this news conference, and the Navy was letting you on the subs and everything to talk to the kid. Well, I had heels on that day. Submarines have slats. They have holes in them. And so every time you take a step, your heel's in a hole. And I decided from this day on, I'm going to have another pair of shoes with me so that if I get caught in something like this, I'm not going to get stuck on a submarine deck. Can't get my foot out. So anyway, that was an interesting lesson. And then when I went to Los Angeles, it was in the 60s by then, and it was a very active decade, as we're learning on television these days. So I wound up being one of the reporters that covered the Watts riot in San Diego, where there was, I think, 34 people killed and 1,000 people injured and 4,000 arrested, and I don't know, $40 million in damage, that the African-American community was burning their city. And the UPI at the time had one black reporter on staff, and it was the only company in the entire area of Los Angeles that had a black reporter. So Warren and I went out to cover the Watts riot, and I was so glad he was there. And it was a very dangerous scene, but it was certainly enlightening. And then I was involved in the Manson trial, the Charlie Manson trial, with the Sharon Tate murder. I covered a portion of that.